Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mitchell Saum. I'm the sales director at BDV Solutions. We are an employment placement agency located in Greenville, South Carolina, and I'm here today with Chris Richardson. Chris is the COO and General Counsel of BDV Solutions. Chris is an immigration attorney and has experience in immigration on both sides of the equation, with corporations and individuals in employment, and also in the State Department. Chris worked in the State Department for 8 years in Pakistan, Nicaragua, Nigeria, and Spain. And he is a huge asset to our team. So thanks for being here today.
No problem, Mitchell.
So Chris, what exactly is BDV Solutions?
BDV Solutions, as you said, was an employment placement agency. It was founded by our CEO, Rick Bernal, in 2011. And the purpose of it is to help employers who have chronic labor shortages, who need assistance with jobs such as janitorial jobs, food package jobs, and other types of unskilled jobs, find foreign nationals through what's called the EB-3 Unskilled visa program. Immigration is incredibly complex, and you need a consultation agency such as ours that works with law firms, works with foreign nationals, and works with employers to basically shepherd and manage that process.
Okay. And what exactly is the EB3 Unskilled visa? There are several different kinds of employment-based visas. What distinguishes the EB3 Unskilled visa?
Each year, Congress allocates about 10,000 visas for these unskilled jobs. And so each year, Congress allocates this bill through what's called the Immigration and Nationality Act, and that's basically what these 10,000 green cards are for. There are various types of visas, but this one isn't really known to a lot of people. This one really focuses on that unskilled market.
Okay. So Chris, could you tell us about the EB3 Unskilled process? What is the process of obtaining the visa?
It's a three-step process. First, you want to file labor certification with what's called the Department of Labor. And the point of the labor certification is that you want to prove that nobody else among U.S. workers actually wants this job. And so you have to go through a recruitment process to see, hey, does anybody else want this job before you can offer it to a foreign national?
Okay.
Once we get through that process, or once the employer gets through that process, then it moves on to the law firms. And the law firms then file what's called an I-140 with the Department of Homeland Security. The purpose of that is basically to show that, this foreign national wants this job and is now going to apply for an immigration visa to obtain that job. After that, subsequent to that, or at the same time as that, depending on if it's a consular processing case or an adjustment of status case, you'll file for your immigration papers, which is either going to be with the Department of State, which is consular processing, or what's called an I-485 with the Department of Homeland Security, and that's adjustment of status.
Okay.
At the same time, if you're here in the country, they'll file for what's called a work permit, and that work permit will allow you to start working while here in the United States for this job that you have that's been petitioned for you.
Okay.
And then after that, you have your interview, either at the consulate if you're abroad, or the embassy if you're abroad, or here in the United States with the Department of Homeland Security.
Okay. So Chris, could you explain to us the difference between consular processing and adjustment of status, and who would be eligible for which process?
So consular processing is for people who are abroad, and adjustment of status is basically for people who are already here in the United States on F1 status or E2 status or any type of visa processing. Now, the Department of Homeland Security manages all of the processing, but for those who live abroad, the final step is the Department of State's interview at the embassy.
Okay, so the only real difference between consular processing and adjustment of status is for consular processing, the interview is in the embassy overseas.
Right.
Adjustment of status, the interview is here in the United States.
That's right.
Okay. Are there any things that you think in particular people should know about the process?
Yeah, that immigration is incredibly complex. That this is a really in-depth process that involves different government agencies. And we are here as BDV to help people basically shepherd through that process. So for example, a lot of people will say, oh, am I overqualified for this job? But in fact, the point of the EB3 Unskilled visa program is to help basically employers fulfill unskilled jobs. And so you can't be overqualified for these jobs. People who are doctors and scientists and lawyers, they get and work in these jobs as in unskilled jobs. And so there's no way to be overqualified for that job. Another complex part is this idea of unauthorized work. If you've worked for more than 6 months unauthorized while you're on F1 status or E2 status, you might have to do consular processing instead of adjustment of status processing. Recently, the president outlined what's called the new public charge rule. That's an 18-page new provision that looks at individuals' age, health, financial resources, and it runs the gamut of complex transitional things that have to happen. And the point of BDV is that we help the law firms, we help the foreign nationals, and we help the employers navigate this incredibly complex system.
And so each individual case is individually managed and analyzed kind of on its own, right?
Right.
Each client.
Right. Every client has their own unique circumstance. Everyone came here on different types of visas. Everyone has different circumstances. And the great thing about a company like us is that we help you manage based on what your circumstances are.
Right.
We're a company with tons of experts in this field who've been in this field for decades. And so we know and we work with different law firms and different government agencies, and we make sure that we can make this happen for people.
Great. What is the relationship between BDV Solutions and the employers that they work with?
We are an employment placement agency that helps these employers. All throughout the United States, there's a chronic labor shortage. And so employers are looking for ways to manage that chronic labor shortage, and that's where we step in as a company. We don't take any kind of payments from the employer, and the employer doesn't pay us anything, we don't pay them anything. They're just looking for help, basically, in fulfilling their needs with this chronic labor shortage.
Okay. So Chris, could you explain to us the services that BDV provides its clients?
So BDV helps our clients from the start of the process all the way to the end of the process. Like I said, immigration is an incredibly complex system and process, involving different government agencies. And so it requires clients to work with law firms, it requires clients to interact with different government agencies. And that's where we step in to help them guide through this process, whether it's getting a signature, whether it's getting the right information from the client. Each client has a different unique circumstance. And so we tailor their circumstance to what it is that they need from the government or what the government needs from them. And we also work with the law firms to make sure that they are being represented to the best of their ability. And so at the end of that process, we have something called a welcome service that assists clients, again, individual clients. We look at each client as an individual, and that welcome service center basically will help them, if they need to help finding an apartment or if they need help getting settled into an area. That's what our dedicated person does for that.
Great. So a BDV client, when they sign up, they can expect to kind of have their hand held throughout the process.
That's right.
Great. So in terms of timing, how long typically does it take to get the visa? I know it's a complex question, as these different government agencies are always changing their processing times, and they're constantly fluctuating. So how long does it usually take?
Yeah, the great thing about BDV is we have our pulse on what's going on with the U.S. government, and so we know that there's no way of knowing. There's so many different government agencies, and within each government agency, you have every different officer, and one officer might move faster than the other officer, and so there's all these different moving parts, and that's where we basically step in to help people. I tell people, don't expect, anything less than 18 months, but it varies, right? There's some people who might get it as fast as 12 months. There's some people who might, it might take a little bit longer, especially for consular processing, because with consular processing cases, those cases have to move through more departments. And so, the timing really varies, but that's why you have a company like BDV there to help people manage those expectations and manage themselves through that system as fast as possible.
Yeah, I like to tell our clients to take the process one step at a time. Mm-hmm. If you're in the labor certification stage, focus on that labor certification and getting past that stage before you worry about your I-140 or before you worry about your interview. Mm-hmm. Kind of taking it one step at a time.
Yep.
Chris, is there anything else that you would like to add about the process?
I think it's really important that people know that this is an employer-driven process. The employer has to prove that they have this labor shortage, and they are the ones that are driving the entire immigration prospect on that side. It's also really important to note that that employer receives nothing of value, no money, no fees, anything for this process. They really are doing this because they have this chronic labor shortage.
Great. If you are a foreign national that's interested in employment-based sponsorship in the United States, what are your next steps to sign up for the EB3 visa through BDV Solutions? It's important to understand that there are fees in this process. There are legal fees for the attorney. There are government filing fees for the different government agencies involved in the process. And there are consulting fees for BDV Solutions for helping you along the way. You can refer to our blog post, which outlines all of these fees in detail, and we will post a link in the caption. Once you understand the fees completely, you can also check the other link for the blog post regarding our frequently asked questions, our FAQ, and it's important to check out this FAQ. I think it provides a lot of good resources to many of the questions that we get from a lot of different people. Once you have done these two steps, you can go to our website, www.bdvsolutions.com, and you can register for an account. Once you register, you will be prompted to complete a questionnaire. This is a 50 or so yes or no questionnaire. It's important to respond to this questionnaire honestly and completely so BDV can fully analyze your case and make sure that you are eligible to apply for this. Once you complete the questionnaire, you will be prompted to upload your documents. If you are consular processing, you only need to upload a copy of your passport. If you are adjusting your status, you should upload a copy of your passport and your US visa. Once you have uploaded those documents, you will be able to select a job from the available opportunities that BDV is offering at that current time. It is important to understand that BDV is constantly looking for new employers, always trying to find new opportunities to offer our clients. So these will change over time. One thing that we don't recommend is to wait to start this process based on a specific location that you want to go to. Because things can change within the government and within immigration, which we've seen a lot of. Once you select your employer sponsor that you wish to move forward with, BDV will send you a contract through DocuSign, which will come to your email address. And it's very simple and straightforward and user-friendly to go through that contract. In that contract, again, is going to reinforce all of the fees, all of the processing, and reinforce exactly what you are signing up for. Once you sign that contract, your next step is to make your initial payment. Again, those fees are going to be outlined in the blog post. And then it's important to note that you will have an online portal which is going to walk you through each step of this onboarding process. So you will be able to see what is required of you in order to move forward. A couple of questions that you should ask yourself before signing up for this. Number one, are you willing and able to work in an unskilled work position? Number two, are you able to afford the process? Number three, are you eligible to receive a permanent green card? We will be able to determine that once you complete your questionnaire on the website. So the next step will be for you to go on the website and complete that questionnaire. If you are ready for permanent residence status in the United States for yourself and your dependents, so you don't have to worry anymore about maintaining a status or how long you have on your current visa, or are you able to work in the United States legally. If you are interested in obtaining a green card through employment, then this program is for you. It's never too early to sign up, but it could be too late. So register now, complete your questionnaire, and get on the path to permanent residency. Thank you very much for listening to us, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you.